had killed the market for, of course. So now this had killed the market for, of course.
I'm ready.
Wow. Um, Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Watching me live here on Black Hot Fire Network. My name is INNOSSETU. Together with my colleague Africa Maria, she's going to join me on the way. Today is a beautiful Wednesday. There is no rain today in Uganda. We are broadcasting live from Kampala, Uganda. There is no rain, the sunshine is like everything is good. However, in the morning, when it comes to morning, the morning is very, very, very cold. But let me hope your day, of course, is doing good. For those where you are right about now when it is morning, allow me to say good morning to you. And for those that are within East Africa, I guess it is evening. That of course they are just 57, of course, minutes past 3 p.m. in the evening. Yeah, if you're watching me for the first time on Black Hot Fire Network live channel, please endeavor to subscribe to this, of course, YouTube channel. Like I always say, when you subscribe in, um, you get an added advantage of whenever we come in here for shows, you're notified on your phone or on your laptop. So today being a Wednesday, beautiful Wednesday, like I said, I've been so happy since morning. I don't know where I got the excitement, but I've been extremely happy. Yeah, today, of course, our point of is going to rotate so much in Uganda, where I'm broadcasting from. Yeah, we've had incidences. Of course, we've had hazards over yards, but at least, the issue that happened, of course, of falling, of course, falling of the landfill. It had not happened, of course, in the recent, of course, years, in the recent days, in the main capital of Kampala. Yeah, we see that a vast, of course, um, has, of course, collapsed, killing a lot of people. Of course, we see that 14 people were injured at the very beginning of this incident, which serves as a waste disposal site for, of course, much of the Kampala. So immediately, 2 people died, and these were children. So the collapse is believed to have been triggered by heavy rains that are within Kampala right about now. But the precise details of what happened is up to now is unclear. But the site of the city authority, of course, said that the structural failure in the West Mass. You see that, of course, the police is trying so much as hard, of course, to, of course, even up to now, to look for people that were covered by rubbish in this area. The police is trying. Let me try to share this. How that.
Landfill, which serves as a waste disposal site. A vast landfill site in the Ugandan capital has collapsed, killing at least 21 people, the police said on Sunday, as the body count looks set to rise even further. 14 other people were injured when Kitizi landfill, which serves as a waste disposal site for much of Kampala, collapsed late Friday. At least 2 of the dead were children, Kampala Capital City authorities said in a statement.
We have retrieved 21 dead bodies, and these dead bodies includes children, women, and men. They have all been taken to City Mortuary for postmortem, and thereafter we are going to hand over the dead bodies to the families for a decent burial.
The collapse is believed to have been triggered by heavy rainfall. The precise details of what happened were unclear, but the city authority said there was a structural failure in waste mass.
There are families who are at a risk-prone area, which we have done.
A vast landfill site in the Ugandan capital has collapsed, killing at least 21 people, the police said on Sunday, as the body count looks set to rise even further. 14 other people were injured when Kitizi landfill, which serves as a waste disposal site for much of Kampala, collapsed late Friday. At least 2 of the dead were children, Kampala Capital City authorities said
So
in a
far,
statement.
we have retrieved 21 dead bodies, and these dead bodies includes children, women, and men. They have all been taken to City Mortuary for postmortem, and thereafter we are going to hand over the dead bodies to the families for a decent burial.
The collapse is believed to have been triggered by heavy rainfall.
Actually, I was in this area today morning, and of course, I was trying to talk with some residents around this area. People were like over 300 people of course, were covered by this rubbish, by this garbage. when you, of course, when you internalize the entire situation that happened at this area, you find out like there are a lot of questions I can ask. Like, why is it that the government deposits, of course, garbage to people, directly to people? That is the first question. Secondly, why is it that this garbage, this of course garbage, uh, this rubbish is not processed? We've had, of course, we have actually, of course, do we have measures of processing, of course, this garbage before it becomes of course, it becomes a before it becomes a threat, before before it kills, of course, a lot of people, because a lot of people have been, of course, they have been, of course, covered by this garbage. A lot of people have died, including children. So I don't know what the government, of course, is planning for these people.
The thing started around 8, when going to approach just 8, 7 something. We hear something like when he passed away, he burst like blood. After we start seeing people, they are running up and down. Then soil come from where they are putting Kasasro. It's sloping down with the people, cars. So that's where the thing started. After all, we got a news. One of our friend died, and not only alone. We have seen people who died now. There are many. We have seen like 10, but they are still looking for other body.
So far, we have retrieved 21 dead bodies, and these dead bodies includes children, women, and men. They have all been taken to City mortuary for postmortem, and thereafter we are going to hand over the dead bodies to the families for a decent burial. We are still trying getting in touch with the local authorities. They are giving various figures, but as security, we have tasked our team to engage the families and the families who lost their beloved ones, and also to engage the local community and the local leaders, and maybe to get the data from Uganda Bureau of Statistics, to get the actual number of those families temporarily. We have requested them to leave their homes and go to the temporary shelter that has been set up by Uganda Red Cross and the Office of the Prime Minister.
So, so apparently, apparently, um, apparently, that is what is happening in Uganda right about now. A lot of people, of course, have been, of course, covered in these ditches, of course, uh, um, in that garbage site. But why is it that we see that the government, actually, why do you deposit rubbish where people are? Rubbish is like, to me, rubbish is like, rubbish is like a prison. Why do you, of course, deposit rubbish where people live? That is not a swamp. Like I said today, I was in that area. The area is not a swamp. Due to the fact that the heaps of rubbish were very many, it even covered a certain flat around. It covered a certain flat around. So stands as a challenge even up to now, because there are a lot of families that have lost of course, their beloved ones. They have lost people. A lot of children have died in the incident. A lot of mothers, a lot of men have been suffocating. I was talking to one of the people in the area. She told me there is a certain there are like 4 people that were covered, that were in the flat that is around. Actually, they were making calls with people that were outside before the police came to rescue these people. Then these people were like, we are feeling a lot of heat inside here. We need to be helped. They were suffocating inside the tunnels inside. Of course, these houses that were covered by rubbish. So at the end of it, people could no longer actually hear about these people. They had died. It's something that is looked as like someone who is not focusing on this. But this is a serious issue. Why do you deposit rubbish where people live? Why do you, of course, deposit rubbish where people live? So apparently, in Uganda is experiencing a lot of issues. But now, there are a lot of issues Uganda is, of course, is experiencing now. And of course, besides people being covered, of course, down, of course, by rubbish, there are a lot of issues in, of course, Uganda is going through right about now. And allow me, of course, I go through some of the issues. Like I was saying, there are a lot of issues Uganda is going through right about now. We couldn't add the rubbish issue among the issues that, of course, Uganda is going through right now. It couldn't be any issue. So the first issue, of course, I'm going to put down, these are the political tensions in Uganda. There have been, of course, recent clashes between the government and the opposition party. The security forces, of course, have locked down the headquarters of the main opposition party, that is the National Unity Platform. Ahead planned protests that were, of course, the corruption, of course, and the human rights abuses are, of course, issues that happened. So, when we see that, when you look at about actually the political tensions in Uganda, we see that political tensions have been escalating recently in Uganda. Besides people being covered by rubbish, besides the government not, of course, taking care about actually taking care to understand, of course, these are fake, of course, government ministries, if I can say, because like if you can put rubbish amongst people. So the political tensions, like I said, in Uganda, of course, have been escalating recently, where security forces have locked down the headquarters of the main opposition party, and that is the National, of course, Unity Platform, hide the planned, of course, protests that ended. So this move has led to arrest of several opposition leaders and supporters. Additionally, 14 opposition officials and supporters were charged with terrorism-related offenses after being deported from Kenya, where they had attended a training course. So these actions have sparked further unrest and, of course, criticism for human rights activists who accuse the government of using fabricated charges to suppress the situation in Uganda. To suppress the situation in Uganda. So, we see that Uganda, of course, charged the opposition lawmakers, of course, supporters over the actually the protest. We see that Kenyan authorities in July, of course, detained 36 members of the Uganda's Opposition Forum for Democratic Change, that is FDC, who had traveled there for a training course. So lawyers for the group, of course, said that they were deported to Uganda, where they were charged with terrorism-related offenses, of course. So 14 other members of the opposition party, including 2 lawmakers, marched through Kampala, of course, to protest against the treatment of their colleagues. We see that they were arrested for participating in the unlawful assembly activities. So, they all, of course, pleaded not guilty. 4 accused were released on bail, while the rest were remanded to prison, of course, until actually yesterday, according to the FDC official who was, of course, brought to court. So, opposition critics, of course, and human rights campaigners have long accused the government of Uganda of using fabricated cases to cramp down on opposition, of course, governments, on opposition opponents, sorry, on opposition opponents. So amidst all the issues that are happening in Uganda, like I said, we also have the issue, of course, of political tensions that, of course, that are escalating in Uganda today. So the other issue, of course, I'm going to talk about the economic issues. Uganda's economic growth is being hampered by rapid population growth, which keeps a large, of course, share of the population below the poverty line. Additionally, deficits in human capital and, of course, infrastructure are limiting the country's growth potential. We see when of course, actually, whatever actually I'm trying to talk about, I'm talking about this from heart, because I'm experiencing it here right about now. So we see that Uganda's, of course, is currently facing economic issues that are rising from high population growth, of course, high population growth. So rapid population growth has kept a large share of the population below the poverty line. When you look at Uganda's capital, there are a lot of people within Kampala. Kampala is densely populated, low. When I'd just come to Kampala, like moving out on streets, I was like seeing a lot of. Actually, I used to be confused during that time where I just traveled to Kampala. I could see a lot of people moving from sides, like a lot of people are moving. At times, I could be confused about stuff. I was like, how do those people? Where do these people come from? Where do these people live? Actually, in the main capital. In my life, I had not experienced actually I've not experienced such in my life, like seeing a lot of people coming from a lot of sides. You see, like you move on streets, you're just stressing for where to pass. I've not experienced that in my life before until I came to Kampala and I was seeing a lot of people, like people are moving in every side of the corner of the city. People are moving, like a lot of people on the streets, like a lot of people, like a lot of people. But due to the fact that Uganda, of course, is of course having, of course, those huge, of course, all of course high population growth rate, the government has not put an initiative, of course, to combat the needs of these people. When you look at economic growth, has of course escalated slightly despite external shocks. GDP grew by 5.3 during the first quarter of the year, where we see that of course countries like Uganda, of course, are facing, of course, that huge uh, uh, of course, a challenge. When you look at Uganda, the increased shocks and less momentum behind the policy reform create challenges for sustaining economic growth and reducing poverty in Uganda. So, rapid population growth has kept a large share of the population below the poverty line, while human capital and infrastructure deficits have limited the country's growth potential and social welfare improvement. So the challenge of creating productive jobs uh, for the almost 1 million working age Ugandans entering the labor market every year is enormous. Although services constitute a large share of GDP and it has created a few jobs, mainly informal and low skilled. So most of the jobs are in agriculture sector, which is prone to natural disasters that climate change is making more frequent and of course and adapting to which of course hampered the low adaptive capacity. So to promote economic growth and reduce the poverty over the medium term, the Ugandan economy needs to structurally transform the shift labor into more productive employment ahead the oil revenue flows. So, so so this, of course, high population growth is also becoming a problem. Actually, I know almost all African countries that, of course, that are experiencing some bit of development. They're also experiencing the same problem. But the governments need to, of course, to address this structurally. So another issue in the context is, of course, about uh, um, is about the human capital and infrastructure deficits. When you look at the deficits that limit the country's growth, Uganda's growth potential on social welfare improvement. So, looking at Uganda now, uh, the increase, of course, shocks are less momentum behind the policy reform that create challenges of sustaining economic growth and reducing poverty. So we see that rapid population growth has also kept a large share of population below the poverty line, like I said, while human capital and infrastructure deficits have limited the country's growth potential and social welfare improvement. So the challenge of creating productive jobs for almost 1 million working age Ugandans entering the labor market every year is enormous. Although services constitute a larger share of GDP, and it has created few jobs for people, and most of these jobs are informal jobs. So the physical and current accounts, we see that uh, um, of course, persistent physical deficits under the financial current account deficits are also significant obstacles in Uganda's economic system today. So there are a lot of issues Uganda is going through right about now. When we see the Bank of Uganda recent, of course, the Bank of Uganda's recent state of economic, of course, report offers a, of course, snapshot of Uganda's economic health and the near-term prospects. So the country, Uganda is having a low and stable, of course, inflation environment and stable exchange rate on account to prudent monetary policy, coupled with robust growth domestic product, which is driven by increasingly household spending, public investment, and rising exports. So the key obstacles include the key obstacles, of course, include, of course, rising interest rates, subdued private sector credit, persistent physical, of course, deficit, and underfinanced current account deficits that is not only fully financed by the financial account. So the slowing, of course, growth of private sector credit from banking sector is also a cause of concern, as this could be linked to the potential crowding out of private sectors by increasing government borrowing. Moreover, the countries today. So when you look at the economic, of course, issues in Uganda, they also, of course, linked to that. The other, of course, economic issue is, of course, the issue of inflation, sorry, and currency depreciation. Inflation has been rising partly due to depreciation of Ugandan shilling. It is depreciating every day. So there are also issues like, of course, the climatic shocks and natural resource strain, where climatic shocks and increased pressure on natural resources due to population growth and urbanization also major concerns to the Ugandan economic system today. So there are even more, of course, issues that I can put down, of course, that are going through, that Uganda is grappling with right about now. The other issue is, of course, the health concerns. The countries, of course, Uganda continues to battle today with the various diseases, including HIV, AIDS, malaria, hepatitis, typhoid fever, cholera. Just look at the video I've just shared at the beginning of this show, when these people were covered with these, of course, landfill. Look at, of course, the diseases. These things, of course, create a lot of diseases in Uganda. A lot of people are grappling with the diseases. Like I said, malaria is an issue. Very many people are suffering from malaria. From malaria. Um, there is, of course, issues of HIV. So, looking at HIV, of course, infectious diseases, malaria, tuberculosis, and HIV remain prevalent and, of course, leading causes of death in Uganda. So the outbreak of also the dealt with Ebola outbreak is also another is also another risk to Uganda. So when you look at, of course, Uganda, of course, is one of the poorest countries in the world with young and rapidly growing population. So Uganda has been heavily impacted by infectious diseases, and the leading cause of death are malaria, tuberculosis, and HIV, and of course the neonatal conditions. So major social determinants of health for Uganda include poverty, with 30% of the population living below the poverty line, as well as poor air and water quality that brought about by rapid population growth and urbanization. So the first major issue, of course, we see that Uganda's healthcare system lacks, of course, healthcare workers and medical education. Uganda has one of the lowest doctor-to-patient ratios in the world, with only one doctor available for over 25,000 people. So the ratio is below of course, the World Health Organization recommendation for over one doctor per thousand people. So we see that the lack of course, medical education is also an issue, as the majority of the physicians and nurses do not receive sufficient training. So Ugandan healthcare, of course, is also another factor that is making the health issues, of course, in Uganda to be strained to the point. So additionally, we see that medical equipment also break down, and of course, medications run out of stock. Patients are responsible for relocating and purchasing the replacement equipment or medication themselves. Similarly, if an ambulance breaks down or runs out of gas while transporting a patient, which occurs frequently, the patient is responsible for paying for repairs if they are unable anyway. So these services are denied. So in Uganda, of course, patients' financial status is the biggest dominant what, if any, care they can receive. So when the patients walk into the emergency room, they are immediately interviewed about their financial means and asked to pay a consultation fee as a deposit. So according so that is you. But I know this is not this is not only happening in Uganda, but almost countries in Africa. So if, of course, if at all these patients they are unable to pay the consultation fee and are deemed unfit to pay the cost of the care, patients are turned away from the hospital. Although healthy insurance exists, only well-educated individuals who have been taught the benefits of insurance are able to purchase it. Thus, most of the population lack any, of course, financial protection against the medical fees. And of course, as 20% of the Ugandans households incur catastrophic health expenditures each year. So, on the other hand, an area in which Uganda's healthcare system excels is, of course, communicable, of course, diseases. In the recent years, Uganda has experienced remarkable progress in the prevention of infectious diseases like HIV, tuberculosis. So the reduction in, of course, in infectious disease is partly to various initiatives in the government, including free condoms, stuff, and others. But health issues, of course, health issue is also another an immediate response to these people. They died because of lack of response, lack of immediate response. At least there would have been, but lack of response. People died because of lack of immediate response. So The other issue is, of course, non-communicable diseases. Non-communicable diseases, of course, conditions like hypertension, diabetes, and cancer are on rise, contributing to 36% of the deaths in Uganda. So, when you look at the entire health structure of Uganda, you will see, of course, you will see that, of course, uh, 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 you will see that Uganda has a burden of communicable and non-communicable diseases, with the latter making 36% of the deaths each year. So the other issue, of course, about health is, of course, health access. Many of the rural areas struggle with inadequate access to basic health services. This is, of course, compounded by insufficient health funding in Uganda. So, Uganda, of course, however much, of course, people find out they could desire to have a desired health care in Uganda, but people are blocked by the by the struggle with inadequate access to these basic health services in Uganda. Just imagine those people that, of course, that were covered by the landfill of garbage, let me say that, rubbish, of course, in that area of the countryside. It's not even the countryside; it is within the city where rubbish is, it is deposited. Most of these people, they died because of the low response by the government. Low response. The people had nothing to do with these people. People were crying inside the buildings, covered by soil, by garbage, but low response. Actually, the police responded after complete 2 hours. A lot of people had died. A lot of children had died. There are also social, of course, dominants like poverty, poor air and water quality, and rapid urbanization that are also causing health issues, of course, in Uganda. So, there are a lot of issues. There are a lot of issues that are stemming Uganda as a country, that Uganda is going through as a country. A lot of problems, and the other issues, there are the environmental disasters. Recently, like, the topic is recently the landslide at the landfill in Kampala that resulted in numerous fatalities of environmental significant damage. Like, it is raining right about now. It is raining, and if you're not serious and you're living in these flood areas, swamp areas in Uganda, water will take you. If, like, those people that are living in that garbage area, actually it is the covering of these people is stressed with the too much rain. It has been raining, unmanaged rain, the entire day. It is only today that we have had no serious rains, but it has been raining so much. So people are going through a lot. So the other issue, of course, I want to talk about, like I said, the environmental disasters. The environmental disasters in Uganda. The environmental disasters. So I will not call rain a disaster. I will not. Don't even force me to say that rain is a disaster or rain is an environmental disaster. But when we talk about, when we analyze the issue of the people that of course that were covered in Kitezi, it is a near place around where actually the government, let me say the government, because the government is responsible for collecting all the garbage within the city. The government deposits garbage in this area where this landslide of course happened. So Actually, for me, I always have questions. Why do you deposit garbage where the people live? Why do you deposit garbage where people are having their houses? This is Uganda, and I know even other countries in Africa they're experiencing so. So far, this incident has killed more than 30 people in Uganda. Just garbage covered people. Real garbage, like garbage covered people. Allow me share this video. I'm seeing Keith around. Hello,
No, no,
Keith. Good
Seth.
afternoon. Good morning.
How you doing, huh?
I'm seeing it is it is shining too much that side.
It's shining too much?
Yeah, I'm saying it is shining too much.
Sunshine is good, Seto.
Uh,
Sunshine
for
is
us, we
good,
are
Seto.
struggling. Okay, that's great. For us, we are struggling with the rain this side in Uganda. We are struggling with the rain.
Yeah, I heard there was a mudslide in Uganda. A mudslide, right?
Uh,
Some kind of mudslide in
I
Uganda, right?
yeah. By
Hopefully
the way, Keith,
everybody's not. Huh?
thank you for the pay. Maria gave me my pay.
I hope she did. If she didn't, I had to beat her ass. What happened to your phone? What happened to your phone line, Seto? Why is your phone line messed up now?
No, like the communication lines are like
Yeah.
companies in Uganda. Like those people, I don't know what happens. Like maybe those people they are fucked up. Let me say that because like the other day, like I called in, I called the actually the call. I called the call center for MTN. I was like, you guys, why is it that you blocked my line? What happened? They told me you come with your national ID at the station. We shall explain everything. Like they don't give me a valid reason why they blocked my line.
That's crazy.
They don't give me a valid reason. So I had to leave
Wow.
it because I'm not going there to confirm anything because it was in my mommy's national ID. I have no national ID but now. I
Okay.
have documents, and those documents they're in the process of getting a national ID. I've been claiming for national ID now. This is the 4th year. I have just documents.
Uh,
They don't give me my national ID. For complete
wow.
4 years, I've been giving people some money so that they can make the process so fast, but they're not making
Yeah.
it out. For 4 years, I've been struggling to get a national ID. I just have documents, and those people that register for lines for SIM cards, they don't accept those documents.
Wow. Since you have your ID, they won't accept the documents that you have proving that's you, so they blocked your line. That's crazy.
Yeah. So I used my mom's national ID to register for
I
that
got you.
line, and
Okay.
so
They
so
came back and said, "Nah, you're not your mama."
telling me to come with the national ID, it's like indirectly they were telling me to come with my mom. I go to the village and I pick my mom for a line. Like, no. So I had
Crazy.
to leave.
Crazy. So how's Maria? I haven't seen Maria. Maria's been missing the shows. I guess she out there farming a lot. Maria's doing a lot of farm work.
Maria, at times she doesn't have that work. At times
And yeah, it's
city.
raining. Yeah, and it's probably messed up, huh? Yeah. Yeah,
That's why these days are like we try so much hard to come earlier because when you wait to late evening, electricity is gone until morning.
yeah.
the power is off until morning.
Yeah. I'm in Louisiana there, Seto, so it's nice and sunny out here in Louisiana.
But it is shining too much. I last saw that kind of sunshine last month. Yeah. The skies are blue.
Yeah, I'm in Louisiana. Louisiana.
Okay.
I was way over in South Carolina. Now way over here, way across the state, way across the country almost, in western Louisiana. Almost by Texas. I'm a little bit close to Texas. I'm about maybe 5 miles from Texas, something like that. Very close to the Texas border.
But there is something that always confuses me. Do these Bazungus have tribes?
Do they have what? They have who?
The Bazungus, do they have tribes?
Do they have what? Say it again, Seto. Do they have what?
Like I was asking, do those Bazungus have tribes, like tribes?
Rides. What's that? Friends? What? Say it again. Have rides. What's that?
Tribes. Do they have tribes, those Bazungus?
Oh, tribes. No. No, only Africans still practice tribalism. No, they don't have any tribes. No, Seth. They don't have any white tribes. No, they used to way a long time ago. Not anymore. They got rid of the tribes. Only the Africans still call them goopy tribes. Most people in the world got rid of the tribes, clans, stuff, Seth. Like the Chinese used to have tribes, Japanese used to have tribes. When you evolve, you're supposed to get rid of the tribal stuff. That makes you weak. You're supposed to unite as one people for power. Nah, they don't have any more tribes. But they used to.
When you look at Africa, particularly in Uganda, when you look at actually different parts, when you talk about different parts, they have different tribes. Different parts, different tribes. Different parts, when you go to the eastern part of Uganda, those people speak a different language. That is a different tribe. When you go to
that's why all the confusion in Africa. No, America's one language, English, but they might have a different little bit because the country's so big. They might have different practices, a little bit of different customs. So the customs may be different, but they still call themselves the same Mzungu. The same white man, same white people. But because of the country being so big, they might have different customs depending on the region of the nation they live in. So yeah, so that can happen. Because me being in the South right here, see, this part of the United States would be completely different, and the white person here would be different than the white person up in New York. Like a big city like New York or Chicago, they know they're the same white people. They think of themselves as the same, but their customs would be a little different, and also the way they speak would be their accent. The way they speak English would be it'd be the same language, but it'd be a different accent to it. Etc. The accents would be a little different. They would speak English differently, because of different regions. Like you said, it wouldn't be a different language because of the region. But the English would be different because of the region.
Yeah, we also have that. We also have that here. When you look at Buganda, when you look at the entire Buganda, for me, I come from Uganda. When you look at Buganda, at the place where I come from, our Luganda language is so much different from the people that come from the capital of Kampala. It is the same language, but
all right,
it is spoken
spoken differently. Exactly. That's what I mean. Exactly. Same thing here, Central. Exactly. Same language spoken differently. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but these Bazungus, they created a lot of confusion. When you look at Uganda, actually,
Of course.
most of the most of the parts in Uganda, they hate people that come from the central, that come from Uganda.
Wow, that's crazy. Wow.
Reason being, the Bazungus were coming, they first centered in this area, and they used people from my tribe to go and enslave other people in Uganda. So a lot of people, they're annoyed
Yeah,
about
that's
my
what
tribe.
I heard. That's what I heard. They said, yeah, they said the Burgundian kingdom was a traitor kingdom. Yeah, that's what they say. They said so they used, but they, a lot of people say, did they use the Burgundian people, or did you guys willing participate in the enslavement of your other African people? That's the question they asked. That were you forced to do it, or were you willing participants in it? Were you willing to go do it, to do the white man's bidding? Were you eagerly helping the white man? I got you. Yeah, I know that. I know that's what they say, Seth. I know.
And most people in different parts of the country, they're like, you don't collaborate so much with those people. Those people, they are too cunning, they're too persuasive. At the end of it, they will still. They have a lot of. They have a lot of. When you go to Maria's press,
Yeah.
at Maria's press, those people, they hate Baganda so much.
Oh
Most of those
shit.
people.
Damn. What about when you go visit? If you go visit, will they leave you alone, Center? Will they accept you as one person? You know that you're not responsible for what happened in the past. You're not the whole tribe. You're just Center. You're not. You ain't got nothing to do with what happened. You just you. Will they still accept you, Center? Or will they be angry at you?
One time, Maria's region is a bigger region. It is a bigger region actually with different tribes too, but it is a
Okay.
bigger region, western part
All
of
right.
Uganda. It
Yeah.
is like I once went to that side actually. When those people, there is a name they call people from my region. They call them Bashuma, and it means thieves. When they see any Uganda, they can normally say, they say those people are thieves, those Baganda are thieves.
Wow.
But for those people that have grown within Baganda, they don't have that mindset. But those primitive Westerners,
See what? See that would take a leader. Assembly's been in power 40 years. Why hasn't he bridged the gap of understanding? Why hasn't he tried to change that level of hatred towards one another? He should have brought that. He should have stopped that. He should have bridged that gap. You know what I'm saying? He says, okay, these things happen in the past. Let's all come together and change our feelings towards one another. That's something he should have did.
so so a lot. And when it comes to Maria's side, like I said, it is worse. There is a tribe at Maria's side where
Mm-hmm.
there are people that they are called Bahima. For them, they live in bush with cows. They don't intermarry. They don't take their kids to school. Like they actually, for them, they confine within themselves. If at all they see any other tribe within their area, they can buy the entire village.
Uh, I'm listening to you, Seto. I'm sitting down.
I was saying that that western part of Uganda, there is a tribe. they're called Bahima. Those people, they live so much in bush with cows. They're ever with cows in bush. Those people
Yeah.
don't intermarry. Those people, they don't take their kids at school. Those people, they spend their entire life in the bush. They don't
Damn.
intermarry. They don't do what they do. Once they notice that there is somebody of like someone is not of their tribe that is within the community, they can hunt for you. They can burn everything. Actually, they value cows more than people.
Wow.
And actually, most of the people in Africa think that these, of course, confusions that they are recent, but these confusions have been happening over and over time. We have been living of course, our mothers have been living with this confusion, and that's why we see most of the people today in Africa, they are confused about the identity of course, of Africans and how we must live in the society. When you look at the kings, those kings that lived in Uganda, uh, uh, uh,
Yeah.
after in the pre-colonial societies of Uganda or Africa stuff, you see that these people used to intermarry in different kingdoms, in different empires, because there was unity before the Bazungus came here to create confusion.
Of
There
course.
was.
Of course it was. But exactly right. It was it was they 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 stopped the unity, exactly right, Senator, because to control you I must divide and conquer you. I must cause divisions and hatred. I must divide and conquer you. That's true. Much unity throughout Africa, but that doesn't help them conquer you and keep power over you. That's why you divide people to keep your power. Divide and conquer. That's the way you rule people, through division. I'm gonna say, but you got it.
And little do of course Africans know this. And actually, I don't know what, like, people focus on things that are not related. Actually, I was watching Kagame actually abolished most of the churches in Rwanda. I was reading an article where Kagame now is saying that actually a lot of activists now they're hiding in churches in Rwanda. Now
Who's hiding in
it's
the
banned.
churches? Who's hiding in the churches of Rwanda?
Like Kagame banned
He
most
banned
of the
who?
church.
Oh, the churches. Did he? For real?
Yeah, he banned most of the churches in Rwanda. There are even some pastors that were arrested that were found preaching after the churches were banned.
Whoa, I didn't know that. I didn't know that, Seth. Shit, that's crazy. Wow. Wow, this guy's a straight crazy. This dude's a straight dictator. Shit. I didn't even know none of that, Seth. That's crazy. I ain't know none of that. That's crazy.
I guess he was realizing that these actually most of those churches, they are Hutu churches. They are Hutu churches. Most of the Tutsis, they are not so much in religion stuff. They are rich. They have whatever they want. So there is no need for them to create churches. Most of the churches, they are Hutu churches in Rwanda. So Kagame, I guess, has fear for activism, for growing activism and patriotism within these churches by the pastors. Just like it is in Congo, how the Catholic Church controls everything in Congo. So he fears that. That's why that's why he banned actually most of the churches in Rwanda. Like, what, 3,000? See, let me try and see here. Let me try to see here. Let me try to. Let me try to share this. I don't know whether you're there. Are you there?
Churches and mosques have been shut down in Rwanda this month for not meeting health and safety standards. Nearly most of them have the country's places of worship and have been found in to be violation of several regulations. The first major crackdown since a law tightening up operations was brought in 5 years ago. Tamadi Roma brings us more from Kigali.
Are you there?
Rwanda.
I want to share for you this almost
more than 8,000.
So Kit, when you get back, you alert me. I show you how Mr. Kagame banned churches within Rwanda. So there is a way actually religion is confining, is making Africans comfortable, forgetting about our needs, forgetting about what we, of course, we must be fighting for, forgetting about what, of course, what we really need as Africans. That we don't focus on things like there are a lot of actually there are a lot of things that have happened slowly. But there are a lot of things that have progressively grown, and we are not minding about these things. And these things actually they have come with late in later times. Now, let's look actually the issue of when you look at most of the when you look at most of the African countries, they have uh, 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 they have this issue of very many churches. What do these churches do? Like, what do these churches do really? If a small country like Rwanda is having more than 30,000 staff churches in Rwanda, what do we expect? All these things are diverting us from the real issue that we must, the real issues that we must address, of course, to find a way out in our lives. So Rwanda's Kagame ended up banning these churches with no mercy.
More than 8,000 churches and mosques have been shut down in Rwanda this month for not meeting health and safety standards. Nearly most of them have the country's places of worship and have been found in to be violation of several regulations. The first major crackdown since a law tightening up operations was brought in 5 years ago. Tamadi Roma brings us more from Kigali.
The Rwanda Governance Board announced this week that it has already closed more than 7,700 places of worship across the country in recent weeks, the majority of which are small Pentecostal churches, but also several mosques. Most of the buildings constructed without adhering to national standards were deemed unsafe to host worshippers or insufficiently soundproofed. The leaders of these places must also present a degree in theology, for example. These criteria are the result of a 2018 law. At the time, President Paul Kagame stated that the country did not need so many places of worship. Churches and mosques had 5 years to comply, but several thousand have failed to do so. A pastor was arrested on Tuesday for continuing to operate after the closure of his church in the eastern part of the country.
Thomas said, I don't need all these churches up in here.
Publicly
let me rewind this for you.
Extreme.
More than 8,000 churches and mosques have been shut down in Rwanda this month for not meeting health and safety standards. Nearly most of them have the country's places of worship and have been found in to be violation of several regulations. The first major crackdown since a law tightening up operations was brought in 5 years ago. Tamadi Roma brings us more from Kigali.
The Rwanda Governance Board announced this week that it has already closed more than 7,700 places of worship across the country in recent weeks, the majority of which are small Pentecostal churches, but also several mosques. Most of the buildings constructed without adhering to national standards were deemed unsafe to host worshippers or insufficiently soundproofed. The leaders of these places must also present a degree in theology, for example. These criteria are the result of a 2018 law. At the time, President Paul Kagame stated that the country did not need so many places of worship. A church extreme. He went as far as describing the closures as being institutionally violent, however, retracted his statements just a few days later.
So, Keith, that is how Kagame closed over 80,000 churches.
Kagame said, I don't want to hear none of this religious shit. I'm the dictator. You do what you're told to do. I'm running things around here.
He said they don't need very many places of worship.
That's right. We don't need all that shit.
And for you to possess a church, the church has to be soundproofed or a mosque so that you don't make other people uncomfortable.
They must teach that Paul Kagame is God, Seto. He's the only dear leader. He's the dear leader, Seto. That's what you better be preaching. If you're not preaching that, I'm gonna be getting rid of your black ass. Kame's a wicked dictator, boy. Kame's wicked.
Look at a small country like Rwanda having more than tens of thousands of churches. Over 80,000 were closed. Thousands of churches. A small country. Where do these people get worship at? Those people.
That's all Africa, all the churches, because that's what the white man brought in. That's called indoctrination, Seto. Being your doctor, that's why so many churches. That's not just Rwanda. You got a bunch of churches and mosques in Uganda. You got a bunch of churches in goddamn mosques in goddamn Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana. It's the same shit every African country. That's what indoctrination and control, Seto. You control people through religion. So that's what that's about. Crazy. Crazy. So I agree with them getting rid of them damn churches, but you can't stop people. You can't stop people in their worship center because they're still in that belief system. You'd have to educate them, but he don't want to educate them because then that would contradict his power. He don't want to educate their ass because that would have an effect on his power. You don't want to educate them to have power that they know too much and they won't be scared to overthrow his corrupt ass no more. He don't want that. He damn sure don't want that. So he wants to keep them as docile as possible. Their docility, he doesn't want the religion to get out of control because it's still, even the religious aspects can threaten his power. He doesn't want a whole bunch of them. He doesn't mind some of them. He's not going to teach them that the religion is bullshit because they say, okay, let's start wanting to know more and more information. See, the control of people systems, you want to keep them afraid, stupid, and unlearned. So you keep them scared and afraid of everything. Docile. Docility. Docility is the name of the game.
And like I was saying, most of those churches, I know they are hood-led churches. I don't believe that there are Tutsis that can form churches within Rwanda unless otherwise. They are Hutu-led because it is the Hutus that in Rwanda that have issues of poverty, that have issues of being discriminated on job opportunities, of which these are the issues that could have taken them to church. They have money,
Uh-huh.
they have cut. They have expensive cars. Their children are going to expensive schools. They are having. They don't have issues.
What about the issue, Seto?
I was saying that most of these churches in Rwanda they are Hutu-led churches.
Yeah.
There is no way Tutsis. There is no way the Tutsis are going to be. We are going to be. We are going to be seeing Tutsis. Like, there is no way Tutsis are going to be seen going to church because they have it all. The reasons that could have taken them to church, they have it. At least they are favored. Their children are having basic education from expensive schools. They are
Yeah.
driving. They are living in the city, of which the Hutus are yearning through. So I guess that's why we crossed these churches. And when you look at all these church leaders, starting with the Catholics in Uganda, these people, these people are rich. When you're going to the village where my mom is born,
Uh,
there is actually the Catholic Church bought the entire village. They bought people either by force or peacefully. Either they actually, and even they bought people cheaply. They bought the entire village. Actually, they displaced all the people in the village.
damn.
They
That's what they.
created the plantations. They created the plantations on the entire village. The
Wow. The
village which
church.
was
The church did.
yeah,
Wow.
the village which once had the people. Now these people who are on that village, they shifted to the next village. Now they come to work as slaves on the plantations of the Catholic Church.
Yep. See that, and that's a church. Supposed to be about love and finding God, and you on a damn plantation being a slave on a church. Shit's crazy.
They bought the entire village, the entire village. I was like, where the people that used to be here? The people shifted to the next village. They bought, if at all they buy, they call you in harmony to buy your land and you refuse. They plant a forest around your house, around your area. They plant a forest.
Wow.
I was like, these people are not good. However much these people are praised to be good, but they're not good. How can you plant a forest like where people are living, stuff, the road, main roads? You plant. These people are not good. And there is no way you can convince my mom that they are not good because my mom has ever been a slave on those plantations
Wow.
for a long time.
Wow.
For a long time.
Wow.
She had cows, she had goats at home to look after, she had pigs, she had hens, stuff at home, but she
Yeah.
still had to go and serve the church.
Wow. That's crazy.
Those old days, it is so crazy. It's so crazy.
Wow.
They are They have riches, a lot of riches. Their schools
Of
are
course,
expensive.
of course. Those are all the
Hospitals
rich
are
because the church is a criminal organization sector. That's why it's stolen all the land throughout Africa. Criminal. Because the Africans have been in like a sleep period. Docile, just all this stuff that's happened. Crazy. That be working on a plantation in my own goddamn country on stolen land that just my ancestors. Crazy.
so crazy, so crazy. And actually what makes everything, of course, everything worse is like they bought these people cheaply. Most of these people that left their land, that sold their land to the church, they have no land even up to now. They are renting.
God damn.
They are renting. They don't have permanent settlements where they went. They are renting. But the church gave them little money.
Shit. Criminal shit they said for you. Some criminal shit.
Little money.
I'm probably gonna lose him. I'm out the country out here. Can you still hear me?
Little.
Out here in the damn country.
Yeah.
Nowhere out here. Shit. Backwards. In the country. This is the right place. Shit. Better look out here. Shit out here.
And the Catholic Church
Uh-oh.
is also actually the Catholic Church in Uganda. I don't know what happens to other countries in Africa, but it's like it is also like a government. It's also another. It's like another government, because when you
Yeah.
look at those religious people, they are not taken to court. Like the Catholic Church, in particular, they are not taken to court about the atrocities that they do to people. I've never seen one. I've never seen one. There are incidences where priests have raped children, minors. But these people have not been taken to courts of law. Have not seen any. I've never had any
Never
hearings
had.
about a priest being taken to court. I've never. They will just, of course, take these people to other places, to other areas, rather than summoning them, suing them into court, because they think they are vulnerable. God talks to them directly. They think they are very vulnerable. God talks to them directly. If he's phrasing, I guess is in a tense area. But there are a lot of atrocities that have been done by church, and let's admit, let's not be big-headed. Let's admit to this. There are a lot of issues that have happened with the Catholic Church, with religious people. Let's admit to this. Let's get to understand the reason why religion is here. Let's get to understand the matrix behind religion in Africa. There is a question that I always ask myself, and you, someone who is seeing me now. If at all religion is on good course, there is a commonality in, of course, in different religions, that God is there, which is true. But why is it that the religions are different? Why is it that we see different religions? Does it make sense to be seeing a Muslims here, Christians from here, a Protestants here, Orthodox here, born again here? Why is separated? at different intervals. It doesn't give me, of course, a valid reason. It doesn't give me a valid reason. So let's accept, let's transform, let's of course understand how this thing works, and actually the reason why these people of course are here. So there is a video I want to share here. There is a video I want to share. There is a video I want to share here. Allow me. Okay, the video I want to share here. Allow me. The video I want to share about here. The video. The video I wanted to share. There's a video I wanted to share here. Allow me do so. Allow me do so.
Whilst I was in that state, drunk, he took the opportunity to penetrate me.
So that guy was abused
Father started to
by a child.
retrace to me all the good things he had done for me and was still going to do for me. But it seemed there was a condition. All I had to do was just give him a bit of pleasure. And so the masturbations took place, and then it went on to the kissing. So that night, Father Bill went a step further, and after applying me with alcohol as usual, whilst I was in that state, drunk, he took the opportunity to penetrate me. That was the very first time in my life when I started to feel so much hate. He invited me to the Holy Trinity. And I went. And that weekend, was the second time that this man again raped me. Afterwards, there was a lot of crying and apologizing. Except this time, there was no violence on my part. I felt I had no power anymore. So I resigned myself to my fate. As a reward, he gave me money to send to my family. He never let me forget that. And he never let me forget about the carrot that I was enjoying. And indeed, I never forgot. So I kept to my word. I didn't speak. But in 1989, I was older now. I was thinking better. I found myself finding the courage to stand up for myself, to bring to bring this abuse to a total end. Within a 6-month period, Father Bill was relocated to, they tell me, Bournemouth in England. I was back on the streets. The church wanted nothing to do with me. The shelter management wanted nothing to do with me. If it happens that upon his relocation, Father Bill had continued to abuse other children wherever he was stationed, I'm going to feel very bad about it because I've kept silent for so long. I'm not going to allow it to happen to any other child going forward.
So, that was, of course, a video showing this guy. This is an old guy, by the way. This is an old guy. This is an old guy that was abused by a Catholic priest. Had his, of course, his story and how he was abused. Let me rewind this for everyone to understand,
Then started
for
to
everyone to get to know.
retrace to me all the good things he had done for me and was still going to do for me. But it seemed there was a condition. All I had to do was just give him a bit of pleasure. And so the masturbations took place, and then it went on to the kissing. So that night, Father Bill went a step further, and after applying me with alcohol as usual, whilst I was in that state, drunk, he took the opportunity to penetrate me. That was the very first time in my life when I started to feel so much hate. He invited me to the Holy Trinity. And I went. And that weekend, was the second time that this man again raped me. Afterwards, there was a lot of crying and apologizing. except this time there was no violence on my part. I felt I had no power anymore. So I resigned myself to my fate. As a reward, he gave me money to send to my family. He never let me forget that. And he never let me forget about the carrot that I was enjoying. And indeed, I never forgot. So I kept to my word. I didn't speak. But in 1989, I was older now. I was thinking better. I found myself finding the courage to stand up for myself, to bring to bring this abuse to a total end. Within a 6-month period, Father Bill was relocated to, they tell me, Bournemouth in England. I was back on the streets. The church wanted nothing to do with me. The shelter management wanted nothing to do with me. If it happens that upon his relocation, Father Bill had continued to abuse other children wherever he was stationed, I'm going to feel very bad about it because I've kept silent for so long. I'm not going to allow it to happen to any other child going forward.
Yeah. That is Father Bill and his man. So there are a lot of atrocities. There is a lot of sodomizing of young boys by a lot of pastors here in Uganda. There is a guy actually who actually tried to come out and expose these people. He was, of course, the guy, the young boy was in pain. He wanted to expose a certain pastor for infecting him with HIV through sodomizing. When you look at these born again churches, most of the born again churches, they have these young boys. They are doing a lot of stuffs in these churches, but with the conditionality. There are a lot of jobs that have been given to these youths, but with the conditionality, of sex or pressure. With conditionality. Yes. With the conditionality of sex. With the conditionality of sex. There is also, I guess this is in my language, there is also another story, another hitting story of a Ugandan pastor who burnt, There is also another claim. Let me first, I'm going to share this, but let me first do this. Let me first do this. Let me first do this. Let me first do this before sharing that stuff, because it is a little bit sensitive. It is a little bit sensitive. It's a little bit sensitive. It's a little bit sensitive. Copyright disclaimer. Let me try to share this, guys. Allow me.
It's also the scene of a crime as old as the Bible itself, the collision of faith and murder. The slaughter of hundreds of followers of a devout religious cult led by Joseph Kibwetere, who preached the restoration of the Ten Commandments of God and a millennium Armageddon. But nobody knows how so many people could have been killed with not a single person raising the alarm.
This happened in Uganda. This situation, those are people that were burnt. They were burnt to ashes. They were burnt to ashes.
There are so many.
Let me try to rewind this.
It's also the scene of a crime as old as the Bible itself, the collision of faith and murder. The slaughter of hundreds of followers of a devout religious cult led by Joseph Kibwetere, who preached the restoration of the Ten Commandments of God and a millennium Armageddon. But nobody knows how so many people could have been killed with not a single person raising the alarm.
There are so many.
The 6 corpses found buried under a building in the compound was just the beginning. A week later, another 150 in a mass grave nearby, then 81, then 130. By the end of it all, 720 bodies had been recovered, with more properties belonging to the cult still to be excavated. No one knows how many more there may be. But how did elderly priests manage to slaughter so many people and bury them in graves 20 feet deep? No one seems to know. Peter is the sole survivor of the cult fire. His wife and 6 relatives perished. That Peter is alive, a twist of fate, or perhaps, as he believes, the hand of God.
Ugwakana bakatujana tutaha amizi minji twataha amizi bakujana ibenda koza
700 people
iryo huye rero bina barambuzi nibenda kwijayo ngutoze ngutukondole rero ngo barambuzi bakuja bashanga habonire
The cult members had been fasting and Peter was hungry. So on the morning of the fire, he returned to his father's house to get something to eat, a decision that would save his life.
Kantakagarukirayo nahurira nguhasa naye nagaruka kuza kureba mu bandi.
What did you see when you went back there?
Kunahikireyo abantu bajya ngo ngaruke kunura mu ntakagumiza.
So the guy banned over 700 people in Uganda just because of religion.
Still, it didn't take long for the police to catch up with Peter. He was quickly arrested and taken away for questioning. His eyewitness testimony has placed 2 cult leaders at the compound on the night before the fire, but not Joseph Kibwetere.
I don't think it's easy to kill a person. It should be hard work because the person is fighting for his life. There should be screams. There should be calls for help. We are finding these people with smashed heads.
Joseph Kibwetere's followers were led there because they believed in his message, but they did not go to their deaths willingly, and for their devotion, they paid the highest possible price.
So that is how a cult leader in Uganda killed over 700 people because of religion. So these people keep on killing people. They keep on actually doing atrocities. Why is it that it's very hard for us to understand? It's very hard for us to realize what's going on with these people here. I guess it is time for us to, of course, to expose actually these people. Let's expose them. It is not time to expose them, because there is no way you can call me INNOSSETU. You come here, like I have something little to say. I have something little to tell you. You know, God has told me that that I should kill you. You're going to get a lot of blessings when you go to heaven. Who am I telling that stupid stuff? Imagine this guy like smashed people in the head just because he had lied them out loud. Actually, he rooted a lot of things from them. And this is the intention of these people. They keep on taking people's property for free. They keep on taking people's property for free, rooting them. Like those people that were buried, like they had, like the guy was saying they had smashes on the head. It happened in 1998 here in Uganda. And a lot of other people, they're falling into prey because of people that have of course had a lot of issues with the religion here in Uganda. Let's find a way actually of addressing the issues. Let's find on how we can deal with these people before it becomes so serious. For me, I always preach. I always be here preaching about how we can transform our society, about how we can see, about how we can embrace the beauty that lies within the Black people. Yesterday, we were talking about, of course, what happened in South Africa, Afrophobia stuff, but we are seeing that Blacks are winning, of course, our popularity outside Africa. Everyone yearns for our melanin, but we can't embrace it here. We can't embrace the beauty that we're having here until you move and understand the beauty that is outside here. It is high time we focus. It is high time we understand what we are. It is high time we know what we hold. It is time has come to, of course, to ask the government to account for the actions that they do through transparency, through rule of law. Anyway, yeah, basically we had to go that side with Keith, but today's topic, of course, centered around the issues that are happening in Uganda. Of course, the trending issue of the landfill collapse, garbage that, of course, that is killing people. Over 30,000 people have been displaced in the area because of what happened. Yes, there are a lot of issues that we have seen recently in Uganda. We have been seeing the government breaking people's homes, of course, in wetlands of Uganda. But we are seeing a lot of Chinese industries, of course, in wetlands in Uganda. A lot of Chinese industries that are within wetlands, and nothing has been done to these Chinese, even some private individuals having industries in wetlands. But people who are, of course, settled in these areas, all their homes were, of course, broken. I was seeing floods. I was seeing people died because of pressure for, of course, for being, of course, their property being destroyed by, of course, by the government through the National Environment Management Authority. So now we see now who is going now who is going to control, who is going to pay for the lives of the people that, of course, that died, of course, in the covering of the garbage in Kitezi in Uganda. A lot of people died, a lot of people were covered down there. Like I said, would have been in the area, and I've tried, actually. Unfortunately, I had no phone to record some videos. But I've tried to, of course, to interact with some people in the area. You like There is an authority in Uganda that monitors everything that is done in the city. That is Kampala, of course, City Council Authority in Uganda. It monitors. It is responsible for cleaning the city stuff. These people have been piling a lot of garbages in this area, irrespective of the heights of the garbage. They don't care. They are piling a lot of garbage in this area. This is an area that is not far from Kampala. This is an area that is having people within. Like, why do we do this? Why do you, of course, pack garbage in an area where people are living? And of course, this resulted in, of course, people making people after the heavy rains that happened, the people ended up, of course, being, of course, covered by the landslide, by the garbage landslide in this area. So far, 24 to 30 people are expected to be dead, and they are still excavating. Of course, a lot of people that are still down there, because the estimated number of people that are still down is not known. People are still looking for their people. People are still looking for their people in this area. So one of the causes, actually, of this, they are not clear, but it is related to the rains that we are having. It is raining too much, bro. It is raining too much these days, like too much. It is raining extremely heavy these days. It is heavily raining here in Africa, here in Uganda, sorry. It is Africa still. It is raining too much. So this could be the root cause of everything, stuff. That's what they say. People have died. 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 People have money, people have money, people have money. Guys, I don't think I'm going to exceed here. Thank you for watching. Those that have been tuning in since the first hour of this show, you have been a good, you have been so nice to me, and thank you. I was going to say that you have been a good listener. That happens to radio on TV, but thank you for watching. I've been so happy for sharing with me. Keith has been here. Keith is always teaching, is always giving teachings. Keith, thank you for being here. And I don't think I'm not going to exceed here. For those that are watching me for the first time, please keep subscribing to Blackout Fire network channels like this one, Blackout Fire Network Live. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. I have to go, guys. I have to end this show right about now. Thank you. Bye-bye.
So now this had killed the market for of course